I've painted this entire painting pretty much with this Princeton Long Round number 8. This is an Aqua Elite. It's really dark, beautiful dark blue. I'm going to actually make that mix that I like so well out of ultramarine blue. And this is that phthalo green mix. Excuse me. This is that ultramarine blue with the quinacridone rose. I'm going to need a little bit of that violet there. Then I'm going to mix into it with the I'm going to need that bluer mixture, an even bluer mixture. I'm seeing right here. That basically comes down here. You need a steady hand for this. This is very dark right here. And it curves. And the leading edge is quite dark. So I'm going to put in that dark there. And that kind of acts, that comes around here like this and goes up into this edge up here. But that's much bluer. So I'm just dropping that in. Then I'm going to wet my brush, blot it, fade that on out. Just like that. Then I'm going to come down here with that brighter blue mixture, which is just the straight ultramarine blue. Come behind this, and bring it up in there like that. All right. Soften that a little bit. Make this curve a little bit better here. Okay. I like that. So now we just move around the painting and just vary some of the mixtures. That's that warm violet mixture. This is more of a, not a very pretty color back here, so we'll make that a little nicer color. And then we've got the darker violet down here. This is dark down here. So I'm just going to drop that in, soften it a little bit. Bring this all into this. Actually, that's going to be green right there, so Just making this a little darker here. Don't forget to move your board if you need to get a better edge. And there are striations in this. Those are just tiny little lines, which you can do with the very tip of your brush, barely touching the paper. Needs to be bluer down here. So I'm going to take my basic green, just add some blue to it. So I get more of a blue-green, just a variation there. It's too much, just soften it. Wash this out with clean water. Blend it all together. Let's go over this one more time. But we still want those lines to show, so very light touch there. See, they're still there. There are some darker lines in here. We can just add. We can add those darks in here. Remember, that's a little too wet. That gives you the basic idea though. Alright, I think I want this lighter and bluer. So I'm just going to take some of that blue mixture that I made, lighten that a little bit. I may come back and lighten that, but I think darkening this is going to be the easiest way to do that. So if we just take some Payne's Gray, just darken this one more time. That's better. You want a little bit of contrast right there. This actually has a burnt sienna tip on it, but we're not going to worry about that right now. Let's go ahead and work on this, this pink a little bit. That is one gorgeous color. So my quinacridone rose is a brighter pink. So if I wanted to tone this, make this some more of a rich, darker value, I can either add a little bit of ultramarine blue or a little bit of Payne's Gray to it. So that's with the Payne's Gray. If I add the ultramarine blue, it's going to be bluer. If I add the Payne's Gray, it just makes it a darker version of itself. There's a shadow under here. It comes down like that. Not quite like that. Or like that. Remember the greens going in here? So that just made that a darker, more saturated version of that. So now I'm going to put this in, but I'm going to leave some highlights in here. because I don't want that to be solid. Okay, I'm liking that better. That's about the only true pink in the whole Bird of Paradise right there. Just going to get that green in there before we forget. A little bit yellower green. It's more of a warmer green. That goes right in here. Put it in while it's wet. And just let it bleed right down into there. Like that. It actually comes up in here a little bit. There's some of this color in here. And there's some of it in the violet as well. And it goes all the way out to here. So let's just wash that out all the way to the edge, up in here. Okay. Liking that. Put a little more of that violet in there. And where the violet and the green mix, you're going to see more of a neutral, which is kind of what we want. Not too much though. Smooth it out. Okay. We need some definition up in here. Probably the easiest way to separate these petals out would be to just put the yellow right on top, where I want that yellower petal. Put that behind right there. This one here. This has a very yellow edge. There's a lot of light hitting right here on this area. Now that's the gamboge. And if you do that, don't worry, that's fine. I'm not sure what's happening right here on this leaf, so I'm just going to probably fill that in with a nice green, and fill that in with the green, lighter lemony yellow green, that yellow mixture, just to give us some different shapes here. Do some negative painting around these veins. Lights on the edges of the stems there. I'm not going to do much more to this. I think this is probably about enough. There's a shadow. I'm going to use this green right here to create this shadow that's right here on this part of the stalk. Up into here, comes down here a little bit. That's really too solid right there. There's a darker shape in here. Put some more of that green in here. these veins. Just where the light might be hitting. Darker right here. Still think we need to separate out these darkest red oranges. So a little bit of Payne's Gray in our red mixture just to catch the edge right here of this one. Give it some form. There's also a shadow down here, which comes in behind here. That's too much. This is really dark in here. Comes all the way and fades out. It actually comes around here like that. We just don't want that's harsh. And it shadows here like that. So we'll just soften this with water. So we don't get a hard edge there or here. Like this though. That's better. Let's just do a variation on the orange. This one, just to make it a little more orange, a little warmer back there. So we're just kind of defining these petals a little bit. Trying to separate them one from the other. Remember, your reds are going to dry, are going to fade a little bit. That's just what red does. Edge right here, a little darker. And I'm rapidly getting to the point of overworking this. So I think I'll just push my greens a little bit darker back there. Some of these greens. Thinking about my value. So at this point I would stop and take a black and white photo of this. Or take a photo of it and change it to black and white and determine if my values are dark enough. So why don't you guys do that? The darkest petals, darken them one more time because I know my values are not dark enough from being, I can tell pretty much by looking at it. My darks aren't dark enough. Let's go ahead and just close that in. It's bothersome there. So I know this is my darkest area down here. And I know it's darkest under here. That's better. And I also know that this is dark because this goes behind this stem. So I want to make that darker. But I don't want to make the whole thing darker, so just loose brush strokes there, like that. All right. I need to push this stem darker so that it stands away from my focal point. This one as well. This one probably has a darker edge under it. That would make sense. This would come darker here. Okay, I'm going to stop with this and decide I'm going to make that darker and decide if everything's dark enough. That one more time. Okay, this is the finished painting.